Vasco, I think it's worth just giving us, if somebody's interested at home in the Golden Visa program, in 25, 30 seconds, just give us a very quick rundown on what are actually the next steps. What do you need to do in order to get this process properly started?
Absolutely. So when I explain the Golden Visa process, I like to split it into two parts. The initial one, I'll call it investment. The second one, immigration.
Okay.
On the investment part, which is the one you are asking about, we have three major steps. The first one is the Portuguese tax ID, called NIF, NIF. The second one, the bank account, a Portuguese bank account, very important for the completion of the investment. And the third one and last one is the investment itself, that will include the onboarding with the fund or funds and the actual transfer.
We've mentioned it before on the sessions, everyone, that although this absolutely, Portugal is a beautiful country, so you'd be crazy not to want to move and live here. But if you are looking purely at the EU, Portugal is a phenomenal entry point to the EU with the citizenship program. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to relocate to Portugal. Once you've got the Golden Visa, you can decide, you could have the kids getting educated in Paris, the grandparents could be retired to Spain.
That's the beauty out of the Golden Visa. It's the 14 days that you will need to stay in Portugal every 2 years. And that's unbeatable compared to other types of residency permits and even to other programs in Europe. The stay requirements are really low. So 14 days every 2 years, it means spending a few holidays in Portugal. It doesn't need to be all at once. It can be 7 days in the first year and 7 days on the second year. And it's really easy to fulfill that criteria. And for the nationality, it's only 5 years of having the residency permit. And the waiting time does count for the nationality. And to learn Portuguese to the A2 level, which is, well, Portuguese is not an easy language, but A2 level, it's not a difficult criteria. So it's an interesting program to consider if you're seeking European nationality and Portuguese nationality.
I think one of the most important things to note as well for people watching is that the clock begins ticking on your investment from when you actually make the investment and the money lands at the funds. It's not now when you receive your first biometrics and process such as that. It starts immediately, so you're getting credit for the investment rather than having to wait for the clock to start ticking.
Yes, this is correct. The nationality law changed to consider the time that the applicants have been waiting. And for the Golden Visa, the understanding is that it counts from the submission of the process, the online submission, which happens just after the investment is done. The documents are gathered and submitted in the online platform.
Right, okay, so that's good. So essentially, if there are some natural administrative delays, it's not going to affect really the 5-year investment time scale, and people will be getting their Golden Visa after 5 years invested.
Yeah, the passport, you could apply upon 5 years from the application, which is like just subsequently to the investment.
Okay, that's fantastic. What would you say just generically for people to look out for in funds if they're building a portfolio?
Well, you see different funds popping up here in Portugal. A few things which are important to keep in mind is you want to make business, you want to invest with funds which are known in the business, right?
Okay, yeah.
That people talk about, which have been around for not weeks or months, but years, right?
Okay.
And those are the few key aspects that the investor should be looking for when deciding where to apply his money in, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
proven track record of being here and being registered with the Portuguese SEC of sorts, which is a CVM, right?
That is correct.
And that meets all the compliance requirements, of course. That's why lawyers are here.
And look, Portugal, CMVM viewers is a very good regulator, very good financial regulator in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
They do everything you'd expect from a financial regulator. It's your funds of systems and controls, processes, the individuals are vetted, there's reporting standards, all of the things you would expect from a top Western regulator, they do that. So definitely, look, invest in new frontiers, as I always say. We would always like a seat at the table in terms of a portfolio. We don't expect you to invest all your money in new frontiers. We would always push for diversification. As Felipe said, a lot of people spread their money around.
Yep.
Look at CMVM. We've got a good track record. We've been going for a couple of years now. We've got a great team, and we returned 10% to investors last year. But yeah, look at diversification, spreading your investments around. And as I said, it's an honest program, and the government have determined which funds qualify people for the Golden Visa and get good legal advice. We were just chatting off camera. Obviously, we're not political on Lisbon Sessions, but we are current, and we do like to be topical and talk about topical things. What's your take, given the Trump situation, the tariffs? Obviously, there's a lot of American citizens looking to move, or at least take advantage of the Golden Visa program. What do you think about the interest now in holding money in euros for the next 5 to 10 years rather than dollars, which you would obviously be able to do by investing in the Golden Visa program?
Yes, actually after the Liberation Day, after Trump mentioned the new tariffs, a lot of Americans have contacted us to know a bit more about the program. And one of our suggestions is also not to hold all the money in dollars in the United States because of the political, let's say, instability. So the suggestion of them investing in Portugal in the Golden Visa and having some of their wealth in euros, it's also a diversification strategy for them. So actually these tariffs have been bringing more and more clients to realize that having or holding all their assets in just one currency isn't a good strategy.
Okay, that's interesting. And have you found an uptick in American investors? Obviously, I understand there's people that don't agree with Mr. Trump's outlook on life, so are looking for a kind of second option, a plan B potentially. But have you seen an even greater uptick since Liberation Day on the tariffs?
Yes, for sure, David. So since then, many clients have been contacting us, and it's just a good plan, not only just from the investment perspective to invest in different investment funds in a different country, in a different currency, but also having always in mind the plan B of getting another citizenship if they want after the 5 years.
What are you finding now that Malta's kind of fallen foul of things, maybe Spain's pulled back? Is Portugal ramping up? What are you finding in regard to inquiries, people getting in touch with MFG for their help?
We still maintain a very positive attitude. We think the Portuguese Golden Visa is one of the top EU programs and is popular. With the EU ruling, of course, of Malta and Cyprus, for example, I think the popularity has gone a notch superior to what it was before. So we've continuous having a lot of clients seeking us and asking for information, and then if we can guide them with the Golden Visa program.
And I think it's worth pointing out to anybody, concerned with the European Court of Justice ruling, it is very different. I think there was a marked difference made in the judgment between what was going on in Malta to what Portugal is seeking to achieve. Portugal is a very honest program. There's a connection there between the applicant and the country, and the investment process is markedly different. So to anybody sort of fretting, as I would always say though, if you want to get a golden visa, you're looking at residency by investment, strike while the iron is hot. Don't dilly-dally, because none of us can actually sort of rest on our laurels that these programs will be around in their current form forever. But at the same time, the Maltese judgment basically is very different to what Portugal is doing. So we're hopeful Portugal will be around for a long time to come in its current form. Lorenzo, the appetite in the market. We're obviously a leading private equity fund, and we're onboarding clients, we're getting their due diligence, etc., etc., and we're going as fast as we can to do that. What are things like at the coal face now of the application process? I hear a lot of moans now from people. All the bank accounts are taking a long time. The AIMA's taking a little bit of time to get things going. What's your experience? Actually, people out there considering the process.
Actually, I bring good news, because we've been witnessing the shortening, the shrinking of processing times, not just for the bank account, but also funds like yourselves, fund managers like Fundbox, that are able to process the subscription and the diligence, approve investors in a timely manner. And while you're going through the subscription, you can wait for your bank account to open, and by the time you are approved, ideally your bank account will be ready so that you can then complete the investment. That's on the investment phase. Then on the processing phase, we are getting strong signals from AIMA, the government visa agency. There is political, not just political will, but more people that were hired to process times, partnerships with the bar association that is taking the waiting periods from the 18, 24 months to have the first residency card, to shrink that time. I don't want to kind of come forward with a timeline, but AIMA intends to tackle their backlog of processes by mid term this year. So probably in the next 2 months, they want to shrink it to, let's say, under a year. I think that's a real estimate. Under a year, to have from the moment you apply until you are approved as a Golden Visa applicant, and then get your biometrics appointment. It will be around that time.
Then we get back to the why are you doing this? If you are doing this investment because you want to obtain citizenship in Europe, or you want to become eligible for citizenship, then we're right back to Portugal. So we often go in circles and we talk about all the programs, but if people's ultimate goal is to obtain citizenship in Europe because they want that access for their families, and often for the next generation. Often parents will do this and say to me, you know, I've got no intention of leaving. I've got a fabulous network here. I have my job. I have my life. I have my friends, my neighbors, my elderly parents. They don't want to move, but they're doing this for their kids. And after 5 years of submitting your application, provided that you have your A2 language certificate, I have mine. Yes, it was hard.
There we go, fancy.
You can apply for citizenship. That takes another 18 months to 2 years. But ultimately, you can obtain European citizenship without actually having to move here and live here permanently. And that's what's attractive to people.